Thanks for tuning in, agents. I'm Soul. First, I want to confirm this is a Negotiator's Dilemma skill build and crit hybrid. This type of hybrid allows you to maintain an effective amount of skill damage while greatly improving the punch of your weapons as well. By utilizing Negotiator's Dilemma in a skill build hybrid, it turns you into a deadly versatile agent. You will be able to hit up to 5 targets at once, take cover and let your skills carry weight while you use an armor kit, or open up windows to push through with the combination of your weapon and skill damages, melting multiple targets at once, as you seen in my solo legendary video, allowing you to feel like a division agent should. Making you a force to be feared and an asset for every agent squad, or just a vicious lone wolf, handing out serious trauma all along the way. So let's get into the breakdown. Let's begin with the specialization that makes this build work the way it does. Technician.
This may just be a prototype, but it's pretty impressive.
With this specialization we gain several advantages. Let's have a look. Exclusive to Technician, the EMP grenade is an effective throwable against all enemy factions, especially Black and White Tusks, allowing us to stop their robotics in their tracks and melt them down, or buy us time to break contact and reposition. Amped is a passive talent that grants the agent +1 skill tier, allowing us to utilize a single armor or weapon damage core and maintain 6 skill tiers with the added armor or weapon damage bonuses of our choice. Dismantling. This gains us +12% damage to drones, skill proxies and robotics, giving us a harder hit when it comes to the more aggressive mechanized enemies we face. Emergency patch. Armor kits also apply to all friendly skill proxies within 10 meters, giving us the ability to heal up our nearby skills when needed, great for drone and turret combos. Overclocked CPU. Gaining us +10% skill damage. This is one of the ways we will be squeezing effective skill damage out of this hybrid, and a great passive talent. Technomancy. Gain 15% bonus armor while aiming a skill, giving us a bit of protection when we're getting our skill in the most opportune place for combat or in mid-fight. Technician's exclusive sidearm, the Maxim 9. Integrally suppressed 9mm pistol for when you don't want to compromise between performance and suppression. A large magazine and added barrel weight from the suppressor minimizes recoil for a very precise weapon. Fitting with Technician, the Maxim 9 has a perfect talent variation that is skill-driven that we will discuss a bit later. As with all specializations, we have our passive weapon damage boosts to 3 weapon classes of our choosing. Being that this hybrid works as well as it does with the use of the capacitor exotic assault rifle, the first +15% passive weapon damage boost is well spent on the assault rifle class, to give it some useful extra damage. To keep all weapons used in the build on par with one another, I've done the same with my rifle and pistol classes also. With the specialization skill tree out of the way, we can now make our way over to a clear spot for the rest of the build breakdown. Let's go. Leading with the capacitor's talent, Capacitance. Shooting enemies build stacks to a cap of 40, each stack grants 1.5% skill damage. After 5 seconds, stacks decay 1 per second. At full stacks this grants us 60% skill damage. Combined with our passive talent, Overclocked CPU, we are sitting at 70%. For each skill tier gain 7.5% weapon damage. Since we are running 6 we gain 45% weapon damage, but the weapon damage doesn't stop here. The factory attachments grant us +10% crit chance and +30% crit damage. This is huge and plays a large role in build effectiveness. Followed by my secondary. A SIG 716 rifle, with a damage to target out of cover attribute and talented within sync. There are named rifles that are skill driven, such as Harmony, which offers the agent the perfect in-sync talent that can also be utilized. The SIG 716 is my preferred choice due to its fire rate over the Harmony. You could also use Surge for the perfect spike talent if you'd like. For the SIG's weapon attachments, I've chosen a sight that grants plus 5% crit chance, a plus 20 rounds magazine, an underbarrel that grants plus 5% crit chance and a muzzle that also grants plus 5% crit chance. This increases my crit chance with the rifle in hand to work more effectively with Negotiator's Dilemma. To finish our weapons I have the Technician's exclusive sidearm, the Maxim 9. This comes with plus 11.6% pistol damage, and though it may be a 3.4% lower pistol damage, I feel it weighs out with its plus 9% headshot damage and the perfect spike talent. It also has a large magazine which keeps me and my skills in the fight longer when I'm down to a last stand scenario. The Maxim 9's talent, Perfect Spike. Headshots grant plus 25% skill damage for 15 seconds, more than enough weapon stopping power and talent effectiveness to give the agent some breathing room in a hard spot. I'm running a plus 11 round magazine to add some extra shots for the perfect spike in close call situations. Now that we have gone over the weapons of the build, it's time to get into the workings of the Negotiator's Dilemma gear set. Wearing 2 pieces of Negotiator's Dilemma grants the agent plus 15% critical hit chance. Wearing 3 pieces of Negotiator's Dilemma grants the agent plus 20% critical hit damage. Both of these bonuses play a large role in this hybrid. 4 pieces of Negotiator's Dilemma gives the agent Hostile Negotiations. Critical hits mark enemies for 20 seconds, up to 3 marks total. When you critically hit a marked enemy, all other marked enemies take 60% of the damage dealt. Whenever a marked enemy dies, gain plus 2% critical hit damage, stacking up to 20 times, or until combat ends. At full stacks of Hostile Negotiations the agent benefits from an additional 40% critical hit damage, a devastating percentage for an absolutely brutal outcome. Onto the core attributes and attributes, we will be using on all of our Negotiator's Dilemma pieces. When you are farming for these pieces, you want to find them with critical hit damage attributes on them, because you will then recalibrate their base core attributes from weapon damage to skill tiers, in order to get your 6 skill tiers and all of the benefits from Negotiator's Dilemma as well. By utilizing the Negotiator's Dilemma backpack we get access to its talent, Critical Measures. Increases Hostile Negotiations damage to additional marked enemies from 60% to 100%. This requires the agent to be wearing 4 pieces in order to receive the talent's benefit, enabling us to transfer 100% of our critical hit damage to other marked enemies, dishing out staggering damage to multiple threats. The division doesn't negotiate. Now I'll show you how the rest of the Negotiator's Dilemma pieces should also look. Again, all Negotiator's pieces need critical hit damage attributes. None of your Negotiator's pieces should have crit chance. We have plenty of that elsewhere. On to our chest piece, where we get most of our crit chance along with extra weapon damage to go with our plus 15% boosts from our specialization tree, the plus 15% from the capacitor's core attribute and the plus 45% with the capacitor in hand. While at 6 skill tiers, we have a Seska chest piece with a weapon damage core of 13.8%, bringing our capacitor's weapon damage boosts to up to plus 88.8%. By wearing 1 piece of Seska we gain plus 10% critical hit chance. In addition to our crit values, we have a plus 12% crit damage attribute and a plus 6% crit chance attribute, paired with a plus 12% crit damage mod as well. On our chest piece alone we gain plus 16% crit chance and plus 24% crit damage, making this piece a pillar in the build. For the talent on my chest piece I've chosen Obliterate for even more weapon damage. Critical hits increase total weapon damage by 1% for 5 seconds. Stacks up to 25 times. At full stacks, this grants us plus 25% weapon damage. Since this hybrid is all about skills and crits, this talent works extremely well for us. This brings our capacitor's total weapon damage up to plus 113.8%. An all-red version of this would have roughly around plus 145% with 0 skill damage, which is what motivated me to make this hybrid and to do so as balanced between the two as possible. Hostile Negotiations was just the icing on the cake. Who said you couldn't have your cake and eat it in the Division 2? For my mask I went with Wyvern for its one-piece bonus of plus 10% skill damage. It has a plus 12% critical hit damage attribute, a plus 6% critical hit chance attribute, and is paired with a plus 12% critical hit damage mod to assist in getting our critical hit damage as high and volatile as possible. We have covered all of the pieces in this hybrid now, so let's look at the skills. Starting with the assault turret. This shows it is at the 6 skill tiers we spoke of earlier, and even though its expertise has been improved since the video, I can assure you the improvements are more gradual than you'd think. Nonetheless, plus 120% skill damage for 6 skill tiers and 81.7k per bullet fired at base. Over to our striker drone we see the same, 6 skill tiers granting us that plus 120% skill damage here also, and its expertise has been improved since the video as well, but again, the improvements are more gradual than you'd think. It delivers 51.3k per bullet fired at its base. From here we are going to head into the shooting range and get some numbers in front of us to see what the build does in weapon damage and skill damage, from their bases to the bonuses they receive from each talent on our weapons, but first let's look at our stats. 109k weapon damage. 57% critical hit chance. 201.3% critical hit damage and 75% headshot damage. Not bad for a skill build hybrid, not bad at all. Let's hop over to the range now. Capacitor's body shot damage numbers. With critical hit damage this high it makes easy work of the most hardened of enemies without our skills. The skills just allow us to cover more angles and be even more lethal. Capacitor's headshot damage numbers. When you need to dispatch of an aggressive hostile quickly, along with his 2 other allies you marked before him, adjust your aim for the head and it's over, especially when your critical hits on headshot are as ferocious as this. SIG 716 body shot damage numbers. A rifle is one of my favorite secondaries when I'm using a skill build for its high base damage. It allows me to engage from a safe distance when necessary and send my drone in for the push. With the crit damage as high as it is here it makes it a lot easier to do so effectively, and takes large chunks out of additional marked enemies with Negotiator's Dilemma. SIG 716 headshot damage numbers. This does really well against heavy enemies. It also allows you to quickly dispatch of enemies below elite, taking them down with a couple shots to the head easily. Maxim 9's body shot damage numbers. Even though you will be aiming for the head to activate the Maxim 9's perfect spike talent, you can see that the shots to the body will serve as an effective resort when you are down to your sidearm. You know you can rely on it to carry you through. Maxim 9's headshot damage numbers. With the headshot damage crits being this high when you activate Perfect Spike, it's definitely an insult to injury when your skill damages are boosted after landing your headshot. Moving on to the damage numbers on our skills, from their bases, to their buffed values from our weapon talents. Striker drone damage numbers at base, then with buffs from our weapon talents, starting with capacitance from the capacitor. Your skills are your allies in more ways than one with this build. They can eliminate or occupy a threat while you pop an armor kit and get back in the fight. Your skills can also serve as a decoy to draw aggro from the enemies while you pick off some of their more vital assets, like medics, controllers, and throwers. Now from base, to within sync from my SIG 716. A few shots to the body and head, to show the double buff values from the in-sync talent. It's important to know all things inside your build, how to use them and when you've gone too far. Know what the build can handle and you'll know what you can do. Now from base, to with perfect spike from the Maxim 9. Each weapon deals plenty of damage, along with buffing our skill damages up to effective numbers as well. Making the build work no matter what weapon is in hand. Now for our assault turret from base, to with talent buffs in the same order, starting with capacitance from the capacitor. In the world that is the division the term. Watch your back. Carries a heavy meaning. So, regardless of your build, always watch your back to keep enemy threats from getting the jump on you and you will likely prevail. Never overextend. Now from base, to with in sync from my SIG 716. Know where your line of advancement is, the point where it's too dangerous to go past at that moment, the line in the sand. Once you know your line of advancement, you'll know your back line and how to manage watching them both. After all, you are a division agent. Now from base, to with perfect spike from the Maxim 9. You're able to refresh the timer on perfect spike by landing another headshot, allowing you to drag out the buff as long as you need to. If you're looking for a build with weapon damage and skills to back it up, this is a good place to start. Now that you know what makes this hybrid tick, start farming to piece it all together. Do not be discouraged when learning how to use a build that is new to you. This build works 100% and leaves you feeling powerful. If you're used to standard skill builds or all red weapon damage builds, you'll be able to pick this up easily and hop right into devastating the enemy forces. This brings us to the end of my build breakdown. Hopefully my first breakdown video was informative enough for you. If you like this build but would prefer a variation of this hybrid that has improved survivability and is great for open world heroic farming, comment to let me know you're interested. Here is a brief video showing the improved survivability version of this hybrid I just mentioned. Like and subscribe for more content like this. Thanks for your time, and as always, Extremis Malice, Extrema Remedia.